So today we've got Martin DeVore here with us. He works with our Parks and Trails. And now tell us a little bit about the journey you have taken in life to trails and parks.
It's been a somewhat convoluted journey. It began back in the 1970s when I graduated from high school, Troy, Alabama. First semester of college was University of Alabama in November of 1973. Pursued a biological degree, and then during the 1970s, that career path mutated and went from pre-dental to microbiology to general biology and wound up in herpetology, which is reptiles and amphibians, in the 1980s. At the same time, I was amassing hours in English, geography, anthropology, and they added up to a distributed minor. So I wound up with 2 majors and 3 minors, and as they say, it's been an interesting trip. It took 13 years.
Wow, 2 majors and 3 minors. Mm-hmm. You're an overachiever, to say the least.
I wouldn't say that. I think that every one of them have been very useful in both of my dual careers, both with Harris County Precinct 4 Parks Department, and then I worked for the Observer newspaper and the Houston Chronicle.
Okay. Now, when did you actually start with the county? Because you've taken advantage of a few different opportunities around Harris County.
That would be a very accurate description. I would say the first time was in December of '90, right after the commissioner election at that time. I came aboard and was hired as a position of a naturalist, and I did programs on natural history subjects, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, venomous arthropods. I also did historical reenactment programs at Jesse Jones Park with black powder weaponry and Texas colonial period history. When I was not doing that and I was in the office, my English background came into play, and I would be doing the press releases and articles for the various newspapers.
Very good. So now, what does a typical day look like for you now in the Parks and Trails world?
Now, the typical day begins for me when I get up at 3:30.
Whew.
I go to my Starbucks at Aldine Westfield in 1960 at 5, and I catch up on world news and everything. And then I make my way here. I get here by 6:30. From 6:30 to 7, I change my calendar to update it to see what's coming up. I will start work on any projects I have that are going to probably be the most time consuming, generating ArcGIS satellite topography maps, working on a sign for our Parks Department if they want a custom sign. Anything like that I do when I first get here, just because it's more peaceful and I have more time to do it.
Okay.
By 8, everybody's finished with the staff meeting, and then everybody goes about their activities throughout the day. Some days I will stay in there in the office and work on the computer. Other days, like last week, I will get my satellite acquisition data equipment and go somewhere like Bayer Park and geographically locate things like different irrigation valves, backflow prevention valves, things like that, and then make a map of those for the individual park superintendents.
Wow, you do a lot of things.
It seems that way sometimes.
Well, there are a lot of things happening in our parks. It's a lot of fun things to do. We have archery ranges, equestrian trails, hiking and biking, and cricket fields, and just all kinds of things. So tell us a little bit about how parks go beyond just the recreation that we think of in Precinct 4 Parks.
Most people are familiar with the fact that parks are good for the soul. They help people de-stress. They provide pleasure, a chance for family outings, things of that sort. Few people don't realize what a critical role that parks, especially our Precinct 4 parks, since most of them are along major waterways such as Spring Creek or Cypress Creek, play in the overall health of the general area. Wherever we have parkland, that's land that no house is going to be on that will flood and have to be destroyed or bought out or anything like that.
Flood control is huge, especially in Houston, very important.
And whenever you have more trees and natural vegetation like in our parks, that absorbs the excess water quicker. The flooding is less severe in areas like that than in developed areas. That's one thing. In this particular park system that we have with Precinct 4, because we're on the major waterways, we serve as a resting area for various migratory waterfowl, migratory regular birds, certain animals that will sort of migrate, but more for them, it's more of a case of a safe refuge. There are animals and birds here in our Precinct 4 parks that people travel to see. When I was at Jesse Jones Park, there was a bird there called Swainson's Warbler. We had people that would fly into Bush Intercontinental Airport, take
Really?
a taxi to Jesse Jones to see this bird, and then fly back to England or Canada, wherever they came from.
Really?
So we have a lot of good, faunal acquisition type things going on here. We've got flora here that's nowhere else. We have plants like the two-winged silver bell at Jesse Jones that's only in the westernmost part of the big thicket range. So we've got a lot to offer the public who wants to see something they may not be able to see for a lot longer.
Very cool. So you get to meet a lot of interesting people, international travelers from all over the world.
We do. We used to have a map at Jones back in the 1990s, and we had, I think, 121 countries marked on it from people that stopped in, and they let us know where they were from. Not everybody does that, but you do hear various accents. You'll hear Australian accents and people from the UK. You'll hear Germany. You'll hear any number of European countries, South American countries. Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me what motivates you to get up every morning at 3:30 in the morning and come to work with us.
What motivates me is because we're performing a vital service that people really don't realize is a vital service. We're providing all the things I mentioned, and what makes it satisfying to me personally is it's a chance to make a difference by helping somebody find a different route for them to go on their biking adventure or their equestrian adventure. It's helped them make their day a little bit better. For other people, it might be showing them a way to do something. Well, yeah, you could do this, but why don't we suggest this and see how this works? Maybe I'll be the first line on the telephone when somebody calls. They'll need to speak to our reservationist. And I'll say, okay, I can help her weed it down a little bit so that the right person gets to the right person, so there's no hostile feelings and everybody's kind of, oh, that's nice, that works. Something like that, as opposed to somebody being mad that they were connected to the incorrect partner.
Sure. Wow, so you have the opportunity to be a part of so many fun, interesting things, from working with the reptiles like you talked about, and international travelers you get to meet. But what do you think is your favorite project you get to be a part of with Precinct 4 Parks?
During this particular tour of duty, my favorite project is the mapping using the new satellite technologies. It's like something out of a science fiction movie when I can pull something down to within 10 inches accuracy from space.
Wow.
I can go out to the parking lot and make a map of everybody's car if I'm just setting up a test grid, and everybody's car will be there if they went to find it without even being on the facility. They could see where they parked.
Wow.
That's aside from the obvious of just looking out the window.
Sure. So you get to incorporate all this cutting edge modern technology working in the great outdoors and the natural environments.
Exactly. I can mark a certain tree. We have a park called Alabonson Park that's under development, and we can do it as a team too. One of my coworkers was down at Alabonson with the mapper tool, and he mapped different trees by species, and then relayed that to me up here at the administration building, and I was able to construct a 3D map of that so that when anybody wants to know what kind of tree is this here, can we cut this down? Do we need to preserve this tree? Not only do they see it's a tree, but they see which type of tree, its approximate width, what species, and all that. We can do that too.
Wow, very cool. So many interesting things happening in Precinct 4 Parks. Martin DeVore, thank you for your time today to
You're
talk
very
about
welcome.
your job and give us a sneak peek behind the curtain in Precinct 4 Parks.
That's a lot what it's like. Thank you.
You bet.